Hello, liquid plant foods are an important part of my method of growing crops. And here's what I typically get up to in May, when the previous year's stuff needs to be decanted and the barrels prepared for this year's weeds. First, let's take a look at the banana and comfrey feed that I started in April. Right, the banana and comfrey is looking good. It may not look like much, but it's seems to be coming up a nice good dark stuff, so it's taking shape. So add a bit more. I'll add a bit of comfrey to it later. Just top it up. A little bit more water, and that'll do. Now the banana skins will float a little bit, so it's got enough water. Here I'm making some labels for the containers. I need to label the containers of liquid plant foods so that I know which are made from comfrey, nettles or a mix of weeds, so that I can apply the most suitable feed to each type of plant at the right stage of growth. Nettles are better for vegetative growth, but to get good flowering, root development and fruits, weeds provide a better general feed. And where I need extra potassium during the fruiting period, I add comfrey. So now it's time to decant these barrels that I made last year. This is the new banana and comfrey, so that's new. But they were comfrey, weeds and nettles, and they've been stewing since last year. And I've got a few water containers, so I'm going to use them to store the liquid plant food from last year. So I'm going to strain these, put them in there, and then reuse the barrels for this year's weeds. These containers, although they look a little bit dusty, they are clean because all they've had in them is water, so there's no danger of anything toxic getting into the plant foods because it's only ever had water in these. Right, before I start, a few tools of the trade. A sieve, bottle that I've cut the bottom off, so it's a funnel. A scoop, it's just an old plastic ice cream tub. And then I've got the labels and some string to tie them onto the barrels. I'm using the labels and tying them on rather than writing on the barrels because I might want to put different things in the same container at different dates. I don't want to be getting confused and scrubbing things out, so it's easier just to change the labels. I'm going to start with the nettles and take the top off. Brewing since last year, so it'll smell a bit. Yeah, the stalks and things are going to have to be taken out and moved to the compost bin first. Then I can start decanting the stuff. Oh, that's lovely stuff. Oh, it's all tangled up together. Is that? Oh. Oh, that's a horrible nasty job. So that's going on the compost heap. But poor it smells. But you can see, I'm getting this stuff on me. See, there's a worm in there and he's wriggling about quite happily. He's been in there since last year, so well, he must have been. I don't know otherwise how he could have got in, because that was sealed. But he's really well happy, so he can go in the compost heap as well. Okay, I've fished out the stalks and branches and things that were in there, so that's a nasty smelly pile on the compost heap. But we've got quite a lot of stuff in the barrel. There's got a bit on the side of it as well. Made a bit of a mess. I think next time I'll chop up the nettles. I was just in a bit of a rush and just put them all in and didn't chop it up, and then trying to get it out, it was like spaghetti all together, tangled up, and I struggled to get it all out, which is why I made such a mess. If it was chopped up, it would be easier. But yeah, we've got quite a lot there, and it's got a good colour on it, so got to make a start on getting this. But oh, it stinks. I've got it all over me as well. You clean trousers today, not realising what I was going to do today, so they're going to have to go back in the wash again. Time to decant the liquid into one of the containers. There's the funnel. Now the sieve catches all the little bits and pieces, which then I can just chuck in the compost bin. Okay, I've taken maybe about a quarter of a barrel to fill one of these up, so I need more containers. But now just put a top on that, take one of these labels and one of these strings, and now these have got a little hole at the top, so we'll do is thread the string through it, got that, and then just tie this up. And there we go. That's labelled. And now what we're going to do is repeat the process several times. And then once I've done that, I've got 2 more barrels. One of weeds and one of comfrey. Oh, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. Now that the nettles and weeds are back in full force, this area is one I haven't actually weeded, so it looks worse than the rest of the plot, but there are a lot of nettles and comfrey and various other bits and pieces, so all of this needs to be taken care of. Because I use these to make liquid plant foods, I've got to put these into barrels and let them stew for a few months. Right, I've got 3 of those big water containers and a few milk jugs for taking home. Now the bottom of this barrel is stained, so you can't tell from the outside, but it's mostly gone now, and there's a bit of sludge at the bottom, but I'm leaving that as a starter for this year's nettles. So I'll just put nettles on top and all the bacteria and microbes are in there, and they'll get it going quickly. So yeah, I've got that done. So now I've got the other 2 barrels to go. Last year when I put these barrels, this hedge was okay, but it's grown, and so I need to cut it back a bit. In fact, cut it back a bit more than I did last year to match the rest of the hedge, because I can't get the plastic bag around the top because of all the branches. So I need to give this a trim and cut it back quite a bit. Right, so that's been cut back, and now behind the barrels is clear. I'm not getting caught up with the privet. And once it grows back a little bit, it'll be in line with the rest of it, so be fine. And I can now get back behind there with hedge cutters and keep that level and trimmed. Now to sort out the weed barrel. Well, that's been fermenting well. You can see it's still fermenting and bubbling. There's a few sticks floating on top, but that's normal. A little bit of wildlife. So let's give it a poke and see what happens. You're lucky I haven't got smelly vision. Right, well that looks quite good, so I'll decant that and get back to you. Okay, well I've got 3 containers and a few milk jugs. I've taken some to the other plot and some are ready to go home. So I got quite a bit out of the weed barrel, and there's still about 1/5 of the barrel left in the barrel, which I'm going to put on top of these 3 brassica beds once I pull the weeds out. And the Comfrey was a bit weak because I had a problem with the first Comfrey barrel leaked. Then I put it into the new barrel and then diverted the rainwater into it, and of course we had a torrential downpour and just flooded out. Everything came out all over the place, so all the Comfrey tea was really dilute. So I've taken some out, but you can see from the colour possibly, you see this is quite a lot darker than that one, so I'll have to sort that out. When this was a full-size bottle, this funnel was a bit wobbly, so I cut that bit off it and it's a lot more stable. It sits in the top of the containers and jars much better and doesn't wobble about as I pour stuff in. And this bit that I've cut off will not be wasted. I can clean that and use that for plant labels. Just cut them up. They'll be used for plant labels, so don't waste anything. Now that I've decanted last year's weeds and I've got space in the barrel, I can start putting this year's weeds into the barrel. So then we'll have more weed tea next year. This nettle tea, you can probably see, is still bubbling away in the sun, so it's still doing something. Must be good stuff. Well, I'll leave it to go. Look at this one. Ooh. Yeah, that was bubbling away. It burped. So they are bubbling away. I continually add to the barrels as more material becomes available during the year. And I'm putting in stalks, leaves, everything. Some people just strip the leaves and put them in. I'll put everything in. It all gets mixed in, and thing is, Comfrey, when you cut it, it smells nice until you do this. As soon as you stick it under, and whoa, the smell of that stuff comes up. Whoa, that's nasty. Well, I hope that's given you some idea of how I deal with my liquid plant foods. Goodbye for now and come back soon.